If you type in self-help books into YouTube, you're going to get all kinds of thumbnails and headlines, either singing the praises of self-development books or demonizing them as not worth it and at worst, harmful. But what's the real answer here? Are self-development and self-help books worth your time? Today, I'll answer that question from the perspective of a professional executive and personal development coach. This is Know.Lead.Grow. And my business and mission here are to help people improve the quality of both their personal and professional selves and help create a new generation of purpose-driven leaders. We'll be answering the question today of whether reading self-development books is worth your time, where the downsides can be, and how you can best develop if you have a strong desire to grow yourself both personally and professionally. Before diving into the content, take a quick moment and smash the like button if you enjoy content like this, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more help growing personally and professionally. But let's go ahead and answer the question. Are self-help books worth it? Let's first start by talking a bit about what self-help books are. May seem like a dumb question. It's a very broad genre, and defining exactly what it means to be a self-development book might help with answering the question. Any book that professes to help you be better at something could be considered a self-development or self-help book. That could be a book on how to cook, a book on how to become a better leader. There are books out there to help you grow as a leader in an organization, and books that teach you how to have good habits or even keep a good calendar. So all of that sounds not only harmless, but actually pretty good. Why could it remotely be bad that there are resources out there for people to learn things they don't know? Well, it isn't, but there can be serious downsides. In my coaching, I refer to it as the self-help trap. What is the self-help trap? This is very common among people in my experience. It's a place I've been multiple times in my own life. The self-help trap is being trapped into thinking that you are making progress in your personal and professional life because you're reading and learning, but without actually doing anything about it. There are many people, and you might be one of them. You may know someone who are trapped in a cycle of feeling better about themselves simply because they read a book and some of the ideas sounded cool. People caught in the self-help trap consume books like candy, gathering knowledge and fueling a sense of entitlement that they are either better than others because of their reading, or that they should be getting a raise or a promotion because of all the knowledge they've gained from reading books. The trap is feeling like you're moving and growing when all you're really doing is reading and reading. One thing I commonly hear from peers, or even people that call themselves self-help gurus, is talking about how many books they read every month. I've heard great people that I love and respect bragging about how they read 10 books a month or 50 books a year. That is the badge of success, and it's meant to make them feel better about themselves and show how much to everybody else that they are learning. And I'm not here to dispute that people can learn from reading books. I learn from reading. But it is certainly far from efficient and very slow to rely on reading as many books as possible and hoping that your life changes from all of this new knowledge. It's why many people go through phases of life where they read and read, only to have it slowly kind of die off in their life because there's no meaningful progress, that they expected at least, and then that progress never materializes to their expectations. So, does the self-help trap mean that reading self-help books is a waste of time? Not at all. But it is important to know how reading books should fit in your self-development journey. Let's first start by explaining the most effective ways people learn new things and incorporate into their lives. Everyone starts as unconsciously incompetent, meaning you don't even know what you don't know. Think of a subject you might not know about, like rocket science. There are probably things about being a rocket scientist that you think you know, but the majority of the skills necessary, the daily workload, and the types of things that you must calculate, you probably don't even know what you don't know about it. At this point, you as the wannabe rocket scientists learn by having your teacher do the work, and you simply watch and learn. That's education. The next stage in growth is conscious incompetence, meaning that you now know how little you know. This would be the beginning of learning to be a rocket scientist and taking a look at all of the curriculum, the work that you're going to have to put in, and understanding now all of the things that you don't know and being aware of what is to come. Now, as you're learning to become a rocket scientist, your teacher still does the work, but now rather than watching, you're helping and learning as you do. Then comes conscious competence as you learn things, and with thought and effort, you become competent at what you're learning. Using our rocket scientist example, this is now a scientist who has learned the material or is learning material and is a competent, functioning rocket scientist, but still needs to refer to notes, reading material, or colleagues to be great. This is the point in which you are doing the work, but your teacher or mentor or peers are now the ones helping. Lastly comes unconscious competence. This is quite literally knowing the material so well that you don't have to give it much thought anymore. You are competent without much effort. Our rocket scientist is just effortlessly good at rocket scientist things, knowing math, the calculations, the work, the content so well that it's not so much a challenge anymore. And at this point, you are not only doing the work, but others are watching you to learn themselves. This all matters because when you understand the best ways people learn, you can start to look at the various techniques to actually learn and gauge their effectiveness. If your goal is to move to unconscious competence in your self-development journey, meaning that you want to become unconsciously competent with managing your time, leading other people, learning to cook, then the best and most effective way to transform yourself from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence is to closely follow the intentional multiplication spectrum. This is a tool I use in my coaching, and it explains a lot of how folks learn. The most effective way to be transformed is through apprenticeship. This is often you being apprenticed by a master, someone who has the knowledge you desire and spending large amounts of time with them, learning from them, imitating their behaviors, and learning why they do what they do. This has always been the most effective way to learn, as through the apprenticeship model, it follows perfectly with how others are developed. As an apprentice, you watch, then you help, then you do, and then you teach. And you become the new master, and you have an apprentice. Basically, you're a Sith, right? The next most effective way to learn is to be coached. Coaches can hold you accountable to what you learn, drive depth into the material, and most importantly, hold up a mirror so you have an unbiased view of your own behaviors, strengths, and shortcomings. They're able to give a concrete direction for your learning. Coaching groups are done typically in groups of 4 to 12, but anything higher than that, and the coach is unable to devote the time to actually coach. In the self-development world, this is specifically what life coaches or executive coaches or business coaches do. The next most effective way to learn is to be trained or taught. Think back to your time in school, and that's a great example of this method. You spend time learning content that is taught from an instructor or a trainer. With this method of learning, you won't get as much individualized attention and feedback, but there is typically a lot of content communicated. Then we have what is called informing. Now, this can take a number of forms. This can be listening to a speech, attending a conference, listening to a podcast, watching a video like this, or even, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, reading a book. You'll notice that as we look at the scale, the further up the list we go, the larger the groups of people that can be reached, but the lesser amount of transformation occurs. Larger groups are typically more inspired than transformed, and as you move further towards apprenticeship, this is where more transformation is taking place, and that is for a very simple reason. Change does not come from someone else. No one can change your mind or create new habits for you. Those come from you. The best that another person can do is hope to influence you and give you good information, and most importantly, act as a mirror for you to analyze yourself and reflect back to what your tendencies are and help you apply the information you learn. This is at the crux of the self-help trap. Learning is never enough. Knowledge is never enough. Application is key, and when we're left to ourselves to accomplish the application, when we lack the mirror and the feedback that others provide, it is incredibly hard to make any meaningful change. This is why Tiger Woods had a golf coach. Michael Jordan had personal trainers and coaches, and top CEOs hire consultants to advise them on their business decisions and personal growth. They all have access to all the knowledge in their respective fields, but knowledge by itself is not enough. So, is reading self-development books worth it? Is it a waste of time because knowledge isn't enough? No, they are not a waste of time. And yes, they are very worth it, and I encourage it, despite what this video has stated so far. But as long as there is a concrete and efficient plan for the application, self-learning is one of the most difficult ways to transform. So if you want to have application, there are a couple of strategies to follow and implement in your life that are going to help you get the most from your reading. Number one, read for quality, not quantity. You do not get bonus points in the world of self-development based around the number of self-help books you have read. If the goal is transformation and positive change in your life, move slowly through books. In my own journey for self-development, I've learned to read a book 3 times before moving on. Now, I know that's not for everybody. I read it once at a normal pace without taking notes, just to take in the material. If I enjoy the content, I immediately read it again, but this time I take heavy notes, mark up the book, I write down teaching points and applications and all of that, and then the third time I listen to the book on audiobook and meditate on my notes and listen for more applications. To be clear, I am not suggesting that you need to do things my way in order to truly get something from self-development books. That's just what works for me. But I am not trying to move on from a book I enjoyed until I have learned what I can from it. And even then, I will often revisit really great books again in a year or so. Number 2, pick the right books. There are tons of gurus out there trying to sell you their book or their philosophy, and that's not a bad thing, to be clear. But there are plenty of these that are based totally on anecdotal experiences and information. This is how things work for me, so they'll work for you too type of books. And it's important to understand that not all circumstances are the same and not all credentials are the same. Look for books that are based on research and time-tested information. There are tons of them out there, and in another video, I'll give you some recommendations that I'll be making here soon. Number 3. Journal, journal, journal. This is incredibly important, even if you hate taking notes. If you aren't someone who's ever kept a diary, or if you just enjoy reading without stopping, think back to your textbooks when you were in a really hard class in school. If you had just read the textbooks with no notes and without thought, it's not likely you're going to retain the knowledge to be tested on it. When you read to learn, it's important to journal to keep notes on what you've read, make notes about what you felt when you read it, and write down who you are and your tendencies. All of this is important whether you go back to read your journal again or not. Writing is one of the main ways that your brain commits things to memories. A study published in the Psychological Science Journal of 2021 found that physically writing something increases retention of knowledge and it programs your memory. I highly encourage your journaling to be by hand and not by computer for that very reason. The other thing that journaling does is it helps you self-reflect and hold the mirror that we spoke of to yourself, which we've discussed is vital if you wish to have any meaningful transformation. I'll talk about how to journal effectively in another video. Number 4, meditate. Yeah, I know I may have lost some of you by saying that, but you're telling me that meditation and sitting around and humming to yourself with your eyes closed and contorted in some uncomfortable cross-legged position is going to help you read self-help books better? Well, no. Meditation is not what most people think it is, and the practice of mindfulness and meditation has been linked to increased learning, lower stress, better sleep quality, and most importantly for our discussion, increased self-awareness. There are lots of things to learn about how to properly and effectively meditate, more than we have time for in this video, but the benefits are vast, and like journaling, meditation and mindfulness will help you apply your learning when combined with reading a self-development book. In fact, this is where the application begins. You will, through meditation, be effectively holding up the mirror and becoming more self-aware about your own tendencies, habits, and how you can change them. Number 5, get an accountability partner. It doesn't matter who it is, but having someone else to discuss and be the mirror for you is going to be helpful most of the time. Find somebody that is like-minded and read the book with them and discuss. Neither of you has to be an expert, but by having somebody to discuss the content with and then hold you accountable to the application, it's going to take you a long way towards your goal of transformation. But lastly, I'll mention something that is somewhat self-serving, but also accurate. If you are truly looking for transformation in your life, whether it's that you want to increase your income, get a promotion at work, lead people better, start a business, become a better parent, improve your capacity to work, lose weight, or any other type of positive transformation, consider investing in coaching. It's something that most people don't consider because there's a cost to it, and to many people, they don't understand the worth of it. But I have rarely met anyone in my years of coaching that has not evangelized the benefits of coaching after buying it for themselves. Tiger Woods hired a golf coach for a reason: to be better at his profession, to get feedback from somebody who could challenge him to be better. Why don't we apply this same logic to our careers? The things that generate money for our families. It's expensive for sure, and for those that have the means, it's very worth it. And that's actually the reason why I started this channel and why I'm building out an online version of my current business. I want to offer coaching that normally goes to executives and business leaders and other wealthy individuals for thousands of dollars a month at a price regular people can afford, people that need it. And I want to be able to offer my time to more people so I can still make my living and help more people in the process. So make sure to like the video if you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel for more actionable content on how you can grow both personally and professionally. Follow me on my Twitter. I post regular content on there as well, and I'll have some courses and a website popping up here soon where you'll be able to take. If you're watching this after they've been released, then make sure to check out my website once it's up and running. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.